It started with one vibration. Tasha's phone lit up at 2:01 a.m. with a number she didn't recognize, international, something foreign. She paused the vacuum with her foot, staring at it. Scams don't call this late, do they? For a moment she thought of ignoring it. She was on hour 3 of her night shift inside a towering Chicago office building, floors so spotless they reflected the city lights back at her. She was tired, behind on rent, and in no mood for spam calls. But something in her gut made her swipe answer. Hello? The voice on the other end was trembling. Female. Foreign accent. Frantic. Please, please, you must help. I don't know who else to call. Tasha blinked, confused. Ma'am, who is this? There is big mistake. My boss, he's not picking up. They will walk away from deal. Everything will collapse. Wait, I think you have the wrong number. No. Listen. I've been calling for hours. This was the last number that connected. Please. Are you inside Grant and Bailey Tower? Tasha froze. She turned to look at the security sign on the wall behind her. Grant and Bailey International, North American headquarters. Yeah. I'm here. I clean this place. Oh, thank God. The CEO, Mr. William Grant, he must be there. The Yamamoto team in Tokyo, they think he insulted them. If he doesn't respond soon, they will cancel the contract. Who are you? Tasha asked. My name is Lena. I am his executive assistant. I'm in the Tokyo office. He was supposed to review the final contract wording with our partners, but he hasn't answered a single message. We only have hours left before it's over. Hundreds of jobs are tied to this. Please. Tasha's heart began to thud against her chest. She wasn't built for this. She cleaned corners. She replaced soap. She wiped glass doors till they gleamed. What the hell did she know about contracts and Tokyo business? I think you've got the wrong person, ma'am. I just mopped the floors here. No. You are the only one who picked up. Please just try. If you can find him, if you can tell him, maybe everything can still be saved. Tasha stared at the black screen of her phone after the call dropped. She was alone in a $100 million skyscraper. And suddenly the fate of a global empire was in her hands. Hi, my name is Malik. If you believe stories like this need to be heard, please hit like and subscribe right now. Your support helps us shine a light on real injustice. Tasha stood frozen, her gloved hand still resting on the handle of her cart. The scent of lemon disinfectant clung to the air, but her mind was spinning far from cleaning supplies now. She pulled her phone back up. No missed call. No name saved. Just an international number and a voice that sounded like the world was ending. She looked around the lobby. Empty. Polished. Quiet. For 6 months, she had cleaned this building 5 nights a week. The marble floors, the gold-lettered logos, the chrome elevator doors that whispered shut like secrets. By the time she clocked in, the executives had long disappeared into their Teslas and town cars. They never looked her in the eye anyway. Mr. Grant, she murmured. She'd heard the name before. William Grant. The young CEO of Grant and Bailey. Big tech. Big money. Big ego, according to the gossip in the break room. There was always some new article about his rise, his father's legacy, the deals he was brokering overseas. But she had never seen him in person. He worked when the sun was out. She cleaned up his world when it slept. Tasha chewed her lip. This wasn't her problem. She wasn't about to go searching for some rich guy who'd probably scream at her for interrupting his midnight nap. Still, that voice. That woman had been desperate. Desperate like Tasha had felt when the power company shut off her lights 2 winters ago and her daughter cried through the night. She pushed her cart slowly toward the elevators. I'm out of my damn mind, she whispered to herself. The security guard wasn't at his desk, probably doing rounds, which meant she wouldn't be stopped. Tasha tapped the elevator button for the top floors, the executive suites. She'd never been allowed up there before. Even the regular cleaners weren't assigned those levels. The doors slid open with a soft ding. As the elevator climbed, she caught a glimpse of her reflection in the mirrored walls. Tired eyes, uniform slightly loose, her ID badge crooked. She straightened it without thinking. At floor 18, the doors opened to silence. Dim hallway lights cast long shadows across thick carpet. The air smelled like lavender and old money. She stepped out, heart pounding. Her sneakers squeaked faintly with every step. Room after room was dark. Empty. Then, Near the end of the hallway, a thin line of light spilled out from beneath a door. She approached slowly. The nameplate read, William C. Grant. Chief Executive Officer. Tasha hesitated, staring at the door. This wasn't part of her job. She was risking everything. Her paycheck, her pride, maybe even her safety. But she'd picked up that call. And now she was here. She took a deep breath, raised her hand, and knocked. Mr. Grant, she said quietly. Are you okay? The light flickered. Then came a sound, a groan. Not from the building. From inside. There was a rustle, then the slow creak of a chair, followed by muffled movement inside. Tasha took a cautious step back. Who's there? A low, groggy voice called out. She swallowed. My name's Tasha. I'm on the cleaning crew. I got a phone call. The door opened halfway. And there he was. Not the polished, suit and smile version she'd seen in Forbes magazine articles. This man looked wrecked. His white shirt was wrinkled, the top buttons undone, his tie slumped around his neck like a noose. His eyes were bloodshot and his hair? A mess, like he'd been wrestling spreadsheets in his sleep. You got a call? He repeated, squinting at her. From Tokyo. A woman named Lena. Said she's your assistant out there. He blinked hard. Lena? She called you. She said she's been trying you all night. Said you weren't answering. Something about a deal going bad. William's face dropped. He turned away, running a hand through his hair. Damn it, he muttered. Tasha shifted awkwardly. She said if you didn't respond soon, everything would be lost. That some company over there thinks you disrespected them. He froze. Yamamoto. That's what she said. He walked back into the office, leaving the door open behind him. Tasha stood outside a second longer before stepping in. The office was pure power, floor-to-ceiling windows, city skyline glowing beyond the glass, a sleek mahogany desk covered in documents, coffee cups, and an exhausted laptop blinking in sleep mode. William dropped into his chair like the weight of the world had just landed on his back. My phone's dead, he said, almost to himself. I passed out around midnight. I was trying to finish the final contract wording. We've been chasing this partnership for months, one wrong line, and it'll blow up in our face. He looked up at her, finally really seeing her. You're a cleaner? Tasha gave a small shrug. That's what the shirt says. He gave a half laugh, more from disbelief than humor. I can't believe she called you. She said I was the only one who answered. William leaned forward, burying his face in his hands. You said they think I disrespected them? Something about the tone of the contract. Wrong greeting. Structure. Made them feel small. His head shot up. No. I didn't mean that. I mean, God, I had it translated, but I didn't think. He stood and began rifling through papers on his desk. Tasha watched him flail. All this money. All this glass and leather. And he looked like he was about to cry. Look, she said gently, I don't know anything about business or Tokyo or translation. But that woman? She sounded scared. And you look like hell. He stopped, breathing hard. I can fix this, he whispered. But I need time. How much? Not enough. He turned to her. You're the reason I even know this is happening. So, what do I do now? If you're still watching, drop a comment below. What would you do in this situation? And don't forget to subscribe for more real stories that matter. Tasha leaned against the doorway, arms folded over her cleaning gloves. I don't know what to tell you, she said softly. I mean, you're the genius CEO. I just clean the floors. William gave a tired laugh, shaking his head. Apparently not well enough to clean up this disaster. She tilted her head. Can I say something? He looked up at her. Please. I think your problem isn't just translation. It's perception. That woman. Lena. She wasn't worried about grammar. She was scared you'd offended people. Like they weren't being seen. William blinked. But I didn't mean to insult anyone. Doesn't matter. If someone feels disrespected, it means something was missing. Maybe it's not about how you said it. Maybe it's that you forgot to think about how they'd hear it. That hit him. He didn't respond at first, just stared at his desk, then at her, like seeing her in a new light. What's your name again? He asked. Tasha. Tasha Bell. He nodded slowly, like committing it to memory. You ever thought about going into business? Not unless they start letting mops into boardrooms. He smiled faintly, then grabbed her phone off the desk. Can I call her back? Lena? Tasha handed it over without a word. He dialed. The phone rang once, twice. "Lena," he said quickly. "It's me, William." Even across the room, Tasha could hear Lena gasp through the line. "I'm sorry. I passed out. My phone died. I just heard what happened." He paced the room as Lena spoke fast, her voice sharp with urgency. "They feel insulted," William said, repeating. "The contract? Yeah, I had it vetted by our legal team. But I didn't think about cultural tone. I didn't realize," he stopped. His face went pale. "They're canceling the meeting?" Silence. "Lena, wait, can I speak to him? Mr. Yamamoto? Please, I want to explain." Tasha watched him closely. His voice cracked when he said, "I didn't mean any disrespect. I'm trying to prove I belong in this chair." Another long pause. Then William hung up and stared at the floor. "She's going to talk to him. Said if I called back in 30 minutes with the right words, they might give me one last chance." He looked at her, eyes tired but focused. "You said something earlier. About how people feel when they're not seen." She nodded. "Yeah, that's pretty much life when you wear this uniform." He stepped closer, sincere now. "What would you say to a man who feels like I didn't respect his legacy? His life's work?" Tasha took a breath. "Tell him why you care. Not about the deal. Not about the money. Tell him what's at stake for you. And not your company, you." William didn't move. Didn't blink. Then finally he whispered, "Will you stay? Help me figure out how to say it." She nodded once. "Let's get your words right." The city outside was still wrapped in silence. But inside that office, something had shifted. Tasha stood beside William, watching as he stared at the blinking cursor on his laptop screen. He'd opened the email draft to Mr. Yamamoto, but his fingers hovered uselessly above the keys. "I've written 1,000 business emails," he muttered. "But this one feels like I'm writing to stop a war." "Then don't write it like a CEO," Tasha said. "Write it like a man who knows he messed up and wants to fix it." He looked at her. "You really think that's enough?" "I think honesty travels further than strategy, especially when someone already feels small." William exhaled slowly, then started typing. Tasha leaned over his shoulder. "Cut that line," she said. "Too stiff. Sounds like a press release." He grinned faintly. "You've done this before?" "Nope. But I know when someone's trying too hard to sound important. You're not selling stock right now. You're asking for a second chance." He nodded, deleted the line, and kept going. Over the next 20 minutes, the strangest thing happened. Tasha, the woman who had never stepped foot in a boardroom, who had been treated like background noise for most of her working life, became the loudest, clearest voice in the room. She didn't know corporate language, but she knew dignity. She didn't know Japanese business protocol, but she knew what it felt like to be invisible. And that made her the perfect person to help William say what needed to be said. "Don't just apologize," she told him. "Explain what respect looks like to you. And ask what it means to them." "Should I talk about the legacy of their company?" "Only if you mean it." "I do." "Then say it. But not like a speech. Say it like a man who actually stayed up at night thinking about it." They rewrote the opening 3 times. Tasha made him delete every line that sounded like it came from a lawyer. Eventually, the message was simple, clean, and real. At the end of it, William turned to her. "Do I send it? Do you mean it?" "Yes." "Then send it." He hit send. The cursor blinked. The email vanished. And for the first time since she walked into that room, Tasha saw William exhale like he could finally breathe. "You ever thought about being a consultant?" he asked, half joking. She smirked. "You ever thought about listening to the people who mop your floors?" He nodded slowly. "I will now." She grabbed her cart, ready to go back downstairs. "You sure you don't want to stay for the reply?" he asked. She shook her head. "This part's yours. But I hope they answer." He looked her dead in the eye. "I hope they see what I saw tonight." Tasha was halfway down the hallway when she heard her name. "Wait." She turned. William was holding his phone, staring at the screen like it might explode. "They responded," he said, breathless. She walked back slowly. "Yeah?" He nodded, still stunned. "Mr. Yamamoto himself. He said he read the message twice. He appreciated the apology. Said the tone was different this time. Said it felt human." Tasha raised an eyebrow. That's a good thing, right? It's everything, William said. They're back at the table. Final meeting in 2 hours. We saved the deal. He looked at her, and for once there was no gap between titles or paychecks or glass walls. Just eye to eye. You saved it. Tasha looked down, shaking her head. I just answered a call. No, he said firmly. You listened. You saw what I didn't. You reminded me that people come first. That words carry weight, but respect carries further. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a sleek black card. His personal contact. If you ever want something more, anything, you call me. Day or night. Tasha hesitated, then took it. She'd never held anything so clean, so expensive, so out of place in her hands. But tonight, maybe it wasn't. Thanks, she said. But don't forget who really called first. He laughed. Lena's already emailing HR to double your cleaning agency's fee. Says she's calling you the Tokyo Whisperer now? Tasha smirked. Tell her to put that on a hoodie. They walked back toward the elevator together. The sky outside had started to shift, a faint glow blooming over the city as morning crept in. As the elevator doors slid open, Tasha turned to him one last time. You're lucky I'm nosy. I'm lucky you're brilliant, he said. Just disguised as night crew. She stepped inside, the doors closing slowly between them. Down she went, past the executive floors, the private lounges, the marble lobbies. Back to where she was supposed to belong. Except something had changed. When she stepped off the elevator, the guard was back at the desk. He looked up. Belle? Everything okay? She gave him a small nod. Yeah. Just corporate stuff. She walked past him like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't just stopped a $500 million disaster with nothing but instinct, honesty, and heart. She picked up her mop again, same as always. But her hands didn't tremble now, because she knew what she'd done. And if someone asked her what her job was, maybe for tonight she'd say crisis cleaner, empire saver, and maybe just getting started. The sun had fully risen by the time Tasha finished her shift. Morning light spilled through the tall lobby windows, softening the edges of the cold marble floors she'd polished hours before. She clocked out just like always. No applause, no banners, just silence. But inside, everything felt louder. As she stepped out onto the Chicago sidewalk, she took a deep breath. The streets were waking up. Cars humming, steam rising from subway grates, people rushing toward a new day. Tasha walked 3 blocks to the bus stop. Same route, same routine. But her mind kept drifting back to that office. The way William had looked at her, not through her. The way her words had reached across oceans and rewired a billion-dollar meeting. Her phone buzzed. She glanced down. Unknown number. She hesitated, thumb hovering over the green icon. Then picked up. Ms. Bell? A woman's voice said. Polished. Clipped. British. Yes. This is Evelyn from Grant and Bailey's Human Resources. Mr. Grant asked that we follow up directly. He would like to schedule a meeting with you later this week. A meeting? Tasha blinked. Yes, ma'am. He wants to discuss a new internal role, one with a bit more visibility. Tasha couldn't help the smile that curled at her lips. Visibility? Yes. He said, and I quote, she saw more in one night than some see in their entire careers. Tasha laughed, soft and disbelieving. Tell him I'll think about it. She ended the call and stared at the skyline for a long moment. The buildings looked different this morning, not smaller, but closer. The bus pulled up. She stepped inside and sat by the window, the city rolling by like a slow-motion movie. That afternoon, after picking up her daughter from school, she made one stop before heading home. Back at the Grant and Bailey building, she stood in front of the receptionist. Can you give this to Mr. Grant? The woman looked down. A small white envelope. Sealed. Inside was a handwritten note. Thank you for listening. For seeing me. And for reminding me that every empire rests on the ones no one notices. Tasha Bell. No business card. No resume. No demands. Just truth. And that evening, as the city lights blinked on one by one, William Grant sat in his office reading that note over and over again. He placed it in his drawer, not with contracts or reports, but in a folder labeled Personal Lessons. Because in one night, a black woman with no title had reminded him what real power looked like. Not control, but care. And for the first time in his career, he felt like he was finally learning how to lead. If you believe in second chances and breaking barriers, share this story. To viewers in the USA, UK, and Canada, your voice matters. Together, we can change the world.